because we have on deck with us the one and only Jatin Patel, coming all the way from on the road to Colorado Springs. Good evening to Jatin. Here is Denise.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, it's good. Okay.
Good evening to you, sir.
Leon, would you please make an effort to see if you can reach Murchis while I introduce Coach?
Yeah, okay, we so do.
Thank you. All right. There, 1 second. Coach's Corner, the Cricket Show USA, Cricket Hall of Fame USA, and the American Cricket Education Council, ACEC, is pleased to welcome the weekly joint collaborative broadcast of the Coach's Corner. The objective of the Coach's Corner is to provide coaching education and expert views, information, oral and practical assistance while helping to educate those seeking to understand and to become actively involved in the sport of cricket, both nationally and internationally. The segment of the Coach's Corner will run from 6:15 to 7 p.m. and will feature Coach Jatin Patel, Cricket Hall of Famer, multi-sport coach, administrator, and director of the Cricket Hall of Fame. Coach, welcome again for another week of the Coach's Corner. How are you this evening, Coach? Did we lose you, Coach?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm driving back
from
Chicago right now. I just leaving Chicago O'Hare Airport, actually. So I got like 3.5 hours driving. Today.
All right. Well, we hope we can keep you awake and alert as you make your journey along the highway. And for today, I have a kind of open session, and I've chosen to try to put the focus on T20 format. So I hope we can get there. But of course, Coach, you know you can always change the topic at any time. Coach,
no, we are all good.
There is no doubt that the T20 format of cricket is popular with franchise teams now in many countries around the world. Is worldwide national T20 franchise good or bad for cricket as a sport?
Well, overall, it's a positive way to say that game has changed, right? We cannot continue that 5-day-long test cricket, especially in Americas and most of the modern countries, I call it. And then now, as I said, world is changing. Games are getting shorter and shorter. Technology is improving the performance. So in all directions, the T20 is definitely going to stay for a while, I will say. And I will not be surprised if we see T10 as the next version, because T10 is probably the best fit for the American sports culture, because if you look at it, soccer, baseball, American football, or MLS, all these major leagues and the major sports we have, if you take out break time or timeouts or half time, the real action time is about 90 minutes or less. And that is what this T10 is going to compete these all other sports in time. And that's only where it can be more attractive to the fans, because they can enjoy in the same amount of time with more excitement. So it's a positive, I will say, and the next generation is, we are all doubtful if they want to play longer version of game. And also, the money-wise, it has a more money revenue generating, or has a possibility to make more money in a shorter version than the longer version. And the last 10, I will say, the big thing is 20 years back, before the T20 started, there were not many players had opportunities to play. Where T20, more the T20 around the world means more young players, new, inexperienced players, all will have plenty of opportunities and chances to play for somewhere in the world. You might have to find a way to get going. but at least more tournaments means we need more players. That means more opportunities out there.
Opportunity knocks there, and I think that sounds like a good thing. Coach, many of these franchise teams are owned by the same investment group. Is it feasible that these groups could have a strong hold, possibly dictating playing dates worldwide? Do you foresee a possible conflict with national and international series?
Well, right now it's very hard to say which is right or what is wrong. But the one thing for sure that I got it what you're trying to say. These IPL owners is trying to spread their wings in the different countries and expand their territories and planning to invest more money in the different countries so they can have more hold of foreign tournaments beyond the IPL. In the sense, I usually look for the positive side, which is their success history. Since the IPL started, if you look at that bar is raising every year in terms of revenue, popularity, fan base. So it's everything is going positive direction. And to me, if I have to go with it, I will go with the same franchise who has experience and expertise to run this professional league. That includes the player situation, management, all sort of things. So it's not something we're going to have all the options which can keep each and everyone happy out there. But I will say they are targeting two things, how they can do better, expand their wings in the different countries, and the most important thing is they are putting their money to begin with. And that is, I think, it's a plus side because a lot of countries lately we can see that they have budget issues, they don't have enough finance. We hear a lot of countries about the infrastructure and grassroots level is not going up because of the money issue. And this is something we have to look into. If they are putting money and expanding, then let's take it that positive side. It's good for the cricket.
Excellent. Expertise and investment is very much welcome in the sport. Leon, any questions for Coach?
Yes, indeed. I always like to deal with this topic, Dennis. You know, the IPL, not the IPL, but the T20 is here to stay. I say this because it has, and I believe honestly that it can coexist with the other two formats or the other three formats if you want to include the T10. I say this with a positive view that the T20 has shown test match something. They have shown they've awakened test cricket. You see, we are seeing brighter cricket. Example, England. They are no longer the dogged team will be batting for a day and score 200. England are striving to get 500 in a day. And for instance, a young cricketer abroad, he will be striving to make the IPL because he knows if he makes the IPL, he'll get 100,000 US or up to $1 million US in 1 week or not one season. So there's so much positive that can come from the shorter version, and especially the IPL and tournaments of this nature. That the other countries and other boards around the world would be striving to make sure they have a tournament and have players ready to get into the leagues because they too will be making some money as a result of their signing in the IPL and other leagues. So it's a plus for everything, everyone. And the shorter version is in not many other sports that you can have so many versions and all attracting to some players. So I say kudos to who invented it and the fact that they can develop the various shots. You see the sweep, the paddle, and you name it. And some of these shots are being played in the T10 test matches, and that is a good sign for cricket as a whole. That's my take, Dennis.
Thank you, Leon. That is certainly an opinion of progress in the game and format. Coach, if you can hear me still, is there likely to be a future in cricket for the young players now seeking a career in this sport?
Yes, it got the more opportunities and more, I will say, possibility than ever before. Let's me explain what I mean with that. 15 years back, before the T20, any young player in any country had a limited scope to play for in the future is for their own country only. There was a limit. If you can't make it to the national team, then you don't have any other alternative or opportunities beyond our traditional cricket where you can go for the English county and pay for it. But nowadays, with this expansion of T20 globally and franchise cricket, there is the two things are happening for sure. Number one, these youngsters will have opportunity to get into the IPL or any T20. You don't need to be international player or national player of any team to qualify. Means the platform is open. If you can perform, if you are potential, if somebody can find you to play for the franchise, you're going to have the opportunity. Number two, we have only seen this patriotic, the nation title teams only until now. Whereas soccer, there is a plenty of based soccer leagues out there who is generating more money, offering more money to players beyond that Olympic and FIFA. In a similar way, the way I feel since the franchise cricket has started, it looks to me they are trying to do exactly what these other professional sports has done, including the USA professional sports. Means this franchise-based team is looking for the right players who are capable to perform, who are competitive at that level. And those are the ones they are getting into the teams. And based on your performance and based your capability and potential, you are getting paid. Means now you are working. And because of that, if you look at it, to me, it's a T20 is more highly competitive than any other cricket format out there right now. So that is what these youngsters have to look at it. If you can do well, future is yours. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to play.
Okay, Coach, you see plenty of worldwide opportunity for the youngsters coming up. I hope that they are listening. Should national teams control or impose restrictions on their players with regards to their contracts with franchise teams, Coach?
Well, there is a plus side and minus side both. And I believe, in my opinion, very soon we will have yearly contracts, which is we already hear that IPL franchise teams are already doing it. But we need to wait and watch to see what this yearly contract means for the players. That's number one thing. Number two, how it can benefit franchise as well as players both. If that has everything plus, then I will say we need to look for more towards the franchise cricket and contract players. We do have the contract system at the national level, but then there is a lot of critics we hear nowadays, right, from the fans, from a lot of expertise and commentators, and there is always something about this contract situation. And then some countries are suffering because these players are taking advantage to play T20 instead of leading to the national side. And this will be ongoing issue until a lot of players decides, okay, this is the only format we want to do contract and play for it. Until then, this will be ongoing, and there is absolutely no comparison or no way to say which one is right or wrong until we really see the comparison where what this T20 can give you in 1 year and let's say what did this T20 give you a national contract. That's the one comparison. Number two, what are the chances you have to play for the national team under that contract, and how this franchise offering you so many games to play. And number three, the most critical, if I have to look at the player side, is it a guaranteed money? Whether you've broken down or having injuries, unable to play, how much secure income you have to bring to your family. Now, those are the key aspects. And don't forget, the way I look at it, or what I have heard so far, these national contracts are only good as long as you are performing or you are a part of the team, and that is how they offer the contract. Where this franchise cricket, it looks like to me like employee contract between, let's say, employer and you. That means down the road, it may have package deal for the retirement or something. And if that can happen, then it's the most thing to see that the cricket has at least the opportunity to survive. Because nowadays in T20, we don't expect long careers from anyone. Someone may play, let's say, 5 years, some may play 10 years. We're not expecting more than 15 years. I doubt it. And because of that situation, we need to look for the stability of income down the road. Because every good player has a prime time, we call it a peak time, which is normally between 25 and 35. And after that, they need to find a way to survive. And if this contract situation can bring that another opportunity to keep survive or float in the game, then it's a beautiful thing to see. So contract is still, we are very early to say compare between the what are ins and out, what is the good and what is bad. And as I said, until we see the both contracts side to side, it's very difficult to say which one can be right.
Thank you. Income stability is an important factor, according to Coach. Any questions from anyone on the panel?
We have Murphy. She has just joined us. So,
good evening, Murphy. Welcome. Go ahead, Leon.
But I do have a question, because with regards of these various franchisees abroad, the benefit a youngster will get from a foreign, another country, is that if he is offered a contract, he gets an opportunity to mingle with the greats. That is so important, because he would have learned quite a bit, and he could take this experience back to his home, his local country, and spread it to his team members. Not only that, and when I was small, and I used to have my cousin go to any place, and I asked him to get this guy's autograph. You know how important that is? You get an autograph from Tendulkar on a piece of paper. You feel like you're out of this world. You want to be another Tendulkar. I used to get important information from Sagari, and sometimes I would walk with my collar up if I were Sagari, you know. And what an important part of your life that will be. You have gotten something from the great by your having someone joining a team. You learn some experience, and not only that, the way they play the game, what they do when they're in trouble, when they're being tied down, how they hook if you're having problems, how you play a shot, and what you do to ward off when people, you know, urge you to get out by disturbing you behind the wicket and tell you things about yourself, about your family, which just to put you off. And sometimes I get tales that they used to shine flashlights in your eyes to disturb your concentration, and then you soon get out. So these are things that are important that you don't buy. You just get them for free. So I say this T20 has gone, especially T20, have made it possible to revolutionize the game of cricket. And I don't see how it's going to end. It may be polluted, but there has to be a time when it's going to be a cutoff point. But T20 is here to stay, and like I say, it's going to it can coexist.
Thank you.
That's me,
Thank you,
Dennis.
Leon. Yes, thank you, Leon. Leon sees mentorship as an important aspect, an important requirement, an important part of the game. Coach, let me ask you, what, if anything, could be done to players who choose franchise over national and international requirements?
That is always the tricky question. And I will say, in my opinion, there are the two key factors the player has to consider. Number one, it's a love of country, the patriotic version we call it. Are you willing to pay for the country even there is not much money involved? That's one side. Number two, the cricket career may be short or maybe moderate, let's say 5-10 years, something like that. And in most cases nowadays, what I see is youngster wants to make money in a short time, quicker time. And then they are looking at some sort of stability down the road from that earned income from this shorter version, right? So this is like every individual has a different situation, and they need to think about it. The first thing, how much love you have for your own country, and are you willing to play for it? That's number one. Number two, if you're going for the franchise cricket, then definitely you have to think about it, how much you are making out of it, how long you're going to get that money, and how it will help your future to sustain. Because your life will need the money. And without that, we're going nowhere. And cricket does not have reached that level yet. If you look at the Forbes top 100 athletes who are making most money in any sport, that list is, I think it's only one. Everyone else in a cricket world does not even listed in that top 100, where other sports are giving more money. Like, for example, I can give you the golf as the individual prize is more money, right? Like recently we talk about this IPL, right? The whole team is getting certain amount of money. Where over here, IndyCar racing, the driver, the one-man show, he won the races and making almost $3+ million, right? Very recently in US, we see there's one young Indian-American kid playing the golf, and in a matter of 2 weeks, back-to-back, 2 big tournaments, he ended up like almost $5.5 million. So what this brings to us is, look exactly what you are dreaming for. Do you just want to play for country, or you just want to grab the big checks? And based on that, you pick up how long, where, when, and why you want to play. And that will be the ongoing thing. And I will not be surprised that lots of youngsters going to take the route to play franchise cricket over the national teams.
Coach, should players, you pointed out the future income benefits. So yes, obviously that's quite important. But should young players and new players be offered binding contracts to the national squad for a period of time, such as a contract of 5 years or 10 years to the national squad, before they're allowed to make the decisions to go to franchise cricket?
Well, again, it depends on the boards. If the board is spending fortune, let's say, to develop some cricketers, and if they are spending 5-10 years of investment with a lot of coaching and infrastructure and all this, then yes, they can implement some sort of new contract that the certain players who got benefited from the board's project, they need to play 3-year minimum or 5-year minimum playing for the national team. And that's like in exchange of the whatever you have spent to build that professional career. Same thing with the franchise. If they are giving that much money, you need to have something in return. especially for the people who are retiring from the IPL or something. They need to come back and provide support for the next generation. So the game can stay alive, and we make sure that we get the right support needed to groom more players. So it will be ongoing, and we have to just keep eye on it because the world is changing, and more the money they get, well, more paperwork and contracts coming. So now we have to wait and watch to see what exactly folds up in next 3 years in T20 world.
All right. Sounds like the contract idea might not be such a bad one. Any offers out there from the panel before I move on? No? All right.
The only thing I see, Dennis, the only thing that I can bring to mind is the relationship between the players and their various boards. Some players, when they get a contract from a foreign country or another country and it's huge, they tend to forget where they came from. And don't think that you can restrict them from getting labor. They may want to say, well, listen, I can resign from international cricket, from playing for my country and go independent and circle the globe and get a little piece here and get a little piece there. But we have to find a medium that we can, satisfy these players, because you want to have the best players to represent you. But not all the players, they're getting bigger, like Dennis just said, Jatin just said. They're very rich now. And the boards can't afford to pay them the sums that they're getting abroad. But what can be done, coach, to at least strike a medium so we can have them playing their franchise and have them playing representing their country, and nobody get hurt, and no misfeelings about their welfare.
Well, there are some good plans are out there, and again, it has some positive and negative both. But to be honest, I would prefer the plan what the IPL has accepted by the BCCI. The BCCI players only play for India and IPL, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the sort of the format other countries should have adopted. If not, then the second best option is down there in Pakistan, where I believe they're only allowed to play 3 T20 leagues or tournaments around the world. And that is also required the clearance from the board. Means they are looking for the players' involvement year around into the game. And number two, such criteria, it's all about having players to be rested. Whenever they are not allowed to play, means they'll be home and resting and prepare themselves for it. Otherwise, the way I look at the volume of T20 within 2 years, I don't think there is a single calendar day will be open without a cricket.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if somebody wants to play everywhere, how much cricket you will play? Because there is a travel time in between two locations. There is a rest needed. So it's not about money. I think it's a human manpower, we call it. You need to cut down the load. You need to balance your sleep, rest, all sort of things. And because of that, I will say, as we get more pain for this scheduling and more T20 around the world, I should say there is a lot of restriction is about to take place in every board, where they will try to cut down their participation and increase the time needed to rest and recover themselves for the other playing situation. And at the same time, some countries has to go maybe the strict regulation that your high priority is the national team, and if you are not willing to play for national team, then we will not have you the NOC to play the T20. So these are all sort of things are about to come, I will say. We are not that far, but believe it or not, when the administrators face this kind of problems, they will definitely start thinking about it, and there will be solutions. We don't know whether it's accurate or not, whether it's right or wrong, but there should be some sort of solution where the both parties have agreed to make sure that everyone's interest is survived.
Interest and survival, that is a theme and a clue. Coach, how should national team treat players who are invited to franchise 1 year but is rejected the following year? Should these players be given automatic recall to national teams ahead of promising new players?
Well, probably not, because the way I look at it, franchise is all about pay to performance. You perform, you'll get paid. If not, they might release you. You may not going to have the second opportunity to perform. Where playing for the country is a completely different. That is not pay to play. This is the pride to play. It's a completely different version. And in that sense, we are looking at so many cricketers at the national level. And honestly, I will say the top performers need to be in a team. And whoever is in the current form, they deserve to be in the team. And in that case, yes, if somebody is not doing well in T20 World, but if they come back and performing well in local regional games or something, then yes, recall is there. But recall should not be automatic for the people who are not performing or underperforming in a T20 league.
No automatic recall. Coach, a question here which we wrangle with from time to time. Why does West Indies players do not able to continue to dominate cricket in the way they have done in the past? Is this related to any other factor in coaching, such as mindset?
It is definitely the mindset issue. And the second part is not a rocket science, I would say it's a common sense. We all know that reaching to international arena level, it takes a lot. Means to get there, it's a tough route to make it. Once you make it, it's not easy to stay there. It takes much more difficult to contain or sustain that spot. And that is what the West Indies is failing right now. Most of the people are doing best once they reach at the peak, at the top, wherever the dream is. And after that, they are not maintaining that position, right? To maintain that position, the two things are very important. Is the first, you have to keep continuing doing on consistent basis in terms of the performance. And the second thing is, you must continue to improve yourself over a time to make sure that you are right on the edge with the competitiveness needed in the T20 world, right? So in other way, I can say easiest way is players need to find a way to hold that position or status once you reach there. There will be competition, always. It cannot be an easy competition, never. But the one thing is definitely there which is not changing, that you as a player and you have the open option to improve yourself day by day so you can be ahead of your all competitors. When these components are missing, you got the setbacks, players are just vacationing at home and you're losing the playing opportunity.
Thank you, Coach. Invite questions from our panelists, if any. Okay, I hear silence. All right, Leon, just remind you that it's probably time to get our brother Audley in while I give Coach another question. Coach, is T20 format of the game a batter's favorite in the game, and how does T20 affect bowlers. I know batters can improvise. Do bowlers have that ability to improvise as well? What's the impact, I suppose, is one way of putting it?
Not really. We have seen a lot of bowling performance in last IPL. There were some great turnaround by the bowlers, right? So it's not always for the batters. It also has something for the bowlers. But the thing is, as I said, once you reach this level, the new innovative ideas are always in place in terms of the strokes they play, including that batsmen or batters are trying to find a way to score more runs at every ball. And that will be ever-changing. Day by day, they are learning something new. They are trying to implement something new. They try to innovate something new. So at the same time, the bowler has to step up. And they need to keep learning about these all techniques and things are happening. The bowler's job is to simply beat the batsman. Don't let them what they want to do. Means don't let them hit you and confuse them, being a trouble for them. So which is generates like a moment of discomfort. So it's like a win-win for both sides. I will never say that T20 only favors batters. No, it has the equal opportunity for the bowlers too, but depends how they contain the batsmen or how they ball to the bowlers, batters.
Indeed. Coach, cricket matches of the past years, the heyday is no longer a national pastime due to competition from television and sports such as soccer and basketball. And more recently, of course, we know 5-day test match cricket in many regions, such as the West Indies, are struggling. What, if anything, can be done turning this situation around to bring more interest and ideas into T20, into cricket as a whole?
For the West Indies, I can say free food, free drink, free entertainment, and you get paid money to be in stand. How about that? Right? That's my dream. Fans need to be paid so they can stop watching on TV. How about that? Right? Well, there's a lot of things we have to learn. The simple business technique in a sports world, when you're looking at the marketing standpoint, or when you're looking at this professional sports, which is all about investing money and generating money, so some can benefit, right? So in that sense, this T20 version is now become a product which you're trying to sell to the consumer, which is the fans. So in that sense, I will say you cannot sell something that people don't want to buy. So the best solution to bring these fans back in the stand is, I think, it's a time to do some sort of research in West Indies. Why these people don't want to go to these stands and what it takes to be the stands. Can we figure out somebody? I know that West Indian people like 4 things: free food, free entry, free entertainment, and probably money. But somebody has to find out what is the major thing where we can see the people coming back. And I can tell you one thing is definitely for sure. I can give you an example. Let's say Chicago Bulls. In Chicago, when Michael Jordan was playing, the arena was always full. People had a hard time to find a ticket to get into the stadium. Now, since Jordan retired, tickets are easily available. So one thing is right there for sure. If the team is not doing well, team is not winning, you cannot attract the fans. And that is the biggest thing the West Indies is facing around, right? Why is the 80s and 90s, when we have the superstars led by this team and we were used to rock the world, and West Indies was on a prime time, and I can tell you, not just West Indies, the same West Indies team from those 2 decades, wherever they visited, whether it's Australia, England, India, believe it or not, stadiums were full for one reason: to see these superstars, how they perform. And right now, that part is missing. I cannot say that West Indies don't have team. That's not my call. But something is not there where the fans are not enjoying, and then now they decide, hey, we don't spend time to go there and spend money. Why don't we just watch on TV, right? So there's a challenge is there, but got to be some solution. And in a sport, I will never say something impossible. There is always something possible if you find the real problem.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's possible to turn things around. Welcome, Brother Audley. And, of course, I know Virgil is with us as well. I wonder if either of you have any questions for Coach before I wrap things up with him.
Good evening to you, Dennis. Good evening to Leon. All my fellow panelists.
Good evening.
Can hear some noise in the background there. Yes, no, I haven't got a question, but I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the listeners throughout the world. And I'm going to go back on mute for the time being. The noise is going to cool down a little, okay?
Okay, thank you. Coach, we'll wrap this up with one final question for you. Why is meeting plan in the coaching an important aspect or an important point for team sport?
Well, this is a huge difference. There is all different types of coaching out there, which is always player specific, age specific, their level of playing specific. But when it comes to the professional sport, there is a very thin, fine line where the coaches can help the player. It's like a pinch of salt in your food. If it is a little bit over, it becomes the salty. You're not going to like the taste. If it is a pinch of salt is a salt in this plate, it's not going to taste good because it does not have enough salt. So that is kind of thin line we have. But I can tell you what, the way the coaching standards has been improved in last 10, 15 years, especially in cricket, with a lot of credentials and a lot of accreditation and some lot of trainings from around the world, I will say the cricketer has to take that option with wide open arms. Because nowadays coaches are not limited to your basic skills or technical parts of the game. They are beyond there in terms of the mentoring. They can cover some mindset training. They can keep you mentally fit. And at the same time, the way we are looking at when we say the performance analysis, which can help you on a game side, but at the same time, people need to start thinking about your planning, your future, how long you want to play, what are the goals you have, what is your dream for, how long you want to play. And to do that, I think coaches is the mirror for the player who can tell you the real picture, what it takes to be there, what it takes to be hanging there, and it can tell you what are the downfalls or drawbacks which you don't maintain in terms of the fitness, in terms of the performance. And nowadays, the bigger setbacks I have seen as a frustration or anxiety is when they see the people don't getting chance, means they are not able to get that money they are expecting, right? They are dreaming for, I want to become a star, I want to become somewhere playing T20, which brings a big contract and money. When these things doesn't happen, the things goes in other way. And that is where the coaches can help you to make sure that you don't give up. That's number one. Number two, you got to keep improving. Who can help you to improve? That's the coach. So nowadays, the professional sport is more relying on the good coaches. And again, professional sports is all about mentoring. It's not about coaching skills, techniques, or technical part.
Thank you so much, Coach. And I want to take this opportunity to say thanks for your insights, your knowledge, and experience. We invite you to join us again next week at the same time, right here on the Cricket Show. There is no doubt that Coach Patel have answers to the questions you have been asking. The question that says, how did he do that? or why did he do that? Maybe you will say, I am going to do that next time. I would like to ask you to stay with us for a while as we celebrate Coach Jatin Patel's USA Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award and USA Cricket Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award. That we will do in 1 hour from now. So I invite Coach to come back and join us in 1 hour, and for our listeners to stay with us, get your beverage, refreshment, and be back with us here in 1 hour. And don't forget, coming up now,